Perfect? So what's this race about?
Huh?
What's this race about?
Bit of a swim. Bit of a bike, bit of a run. First triathlon was 1999, so 25 years today. First Ironman I did was 2 years later. Ironmans are tough. They're long days, long races. But after doing 15, it came down to me about time. Getting older, time's obviously getting slower, so it wasn't about going faster. So it became less of a challenge because I knew it was predictable. Ironman became less of, other than the first one, there was no fear of failure because I could do it. Now the races I do, finishing is actually a bonus, it's a challenge. It's getting actually through the whole race, not trying to get to a time is the difference. Signed up for this, been trying to get into this race for 12 years now, and this one is seen as the toughest daylight one-day triathlon worldwide. Reasonable temperatures here, but once you go up, you lose 1 degree temperature per 100 meters you go up, and it goes up to 1800 meters. So end of the race is going to be 4 degrees maybe. So it could be hot, could be cold, you just don't know what you're going to hit. Could be side winds, could be snow. Just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow on Saturday. And that's the challenge. That's why I'm here. It is the Everest of triathlon. But the sport crew I know is going to carry me through. They're there to help, assist, and it's part of their journey as well, experiencing something like this.
How have you been preparing for the Norseman?
Norseman is Ironman distance, so you got to do the work, but it's got its specific challenges. You do the obvious triathlon training, runs and bike, but you've got to be prepared for the extremes. Cold water. Can get down to 12, but it looks like it's going to be 15, and for some people talking here, that's really cold for them. What I've been doing is just getting used to cold water. It doesn't change the physiology that much, but it stops you from shivering and it stops you from getting all the blood down to your core. Once you're used to it, you can actually sort of naturally get power, you get heating in your limbs, and it's that type of thing that I've been doing, is preparing for what could happen on the day, particularly for the swimming. Bike, it's 180 kilometers, and 100 kilometers is a long way any day of the week. But there's a lot of elevation. Get on the bike, you go up to 1,200 meters in the first 30. There's some flats, and then there's 4 pretty much 6 kilometer hills, 5%, with 1 severe hill at the end. So I've had to practice in the training to ride 90 kilometer of hills going uphill, and then let the downhill take care of itself. So the training is not about putting in long miles and long distance. It's more about doing long hills, and which is the focus. And I've done that on the trainer, low cadence, because I'm going to run out of gears. And then, just keeping that momentum over the hills and just roll on the downhills. Brought a TT bike instead of a road bike, even though there's lots of hills. So I can get the advantage of the longer downhill, which is about 50 kilometers. And then, sit up and just enjoy the uphills. So I've really trained for 90 kilometers hard riding and 90 kilometers of downhills. So a little bit different to Ironman. That's all generally flat and you're under the power all day. Not going to be on that case of this race. It's about controlling that. Run, again, it's different again because for IMA you train for 42 kilometers a run. You train for a marathon after the bike. With this, it's 25 kilometers of flat, and then it goes uphill 1,700 meters in 17 kilometers. So 10% for the last 17 kilometers. Most people walk, other than the leaders. So I've trained for 25 kilometers running. Put in the effort, shorter distance, training almost like a 70.3, a half distance marathon, and then did some power walking, lots of power walking on the treadmill, lots of weight around my shoulders, rucking 12%. So I've trained myself to walk well, but run 20 after running 25. So those who know Redcliffe, doing 20, 21 kilometer runs, and then doing 10 repeats of King Street, which is a nice little 10% hill in Redcliffe. And that's how I prepared differently. The other thing is I'm older, 62. I cannot recover like I used to when I was young, and you've got to recognize that. So lots and lots of volume, 15, 16, up to 18 hours a week, but nothing long. So repeat sessions, 3 sessions a day, quite often. Weekends, punchy sessions, but shorter, to stick to the 19-25. But if you look at my chart on Strava, there's no big rides like 6-hour, 8-hour rides on there. Maximum I think was 5 hours. But you'll see lots and lots of repeats. Getting in 25 to 30 sessions a week. High turnover, but it means lots of recovery in between and really controlling it. And then when I do feel tired and fatigued, take a couple of days, 2 days off, so you get back to training rather than forcing the volume and making sure you're turning up all the time according to the plan, using intuition, make sure I recover, train hard, make sure I recover, train hard. And that's, so differently, very different to Ironman training, but you still got to do the work. It's been a good solid 6 months of chipping away, slow improvements, but getting there. But we'll see if it works out in the day. Who knows?
If someone was trying to get into doing triathlons and follow the steps that you've been doing, what would you recommend? What would your advice be for people to try and get into this type of extreme sports?
Be patient. Take it slow. One thing about triathlon is a lot of people come into the sport and they break themselves. They do reasonably well, they grow quickly, and within a year or 2 years they're absolutely burnt out. And of course, they just don't want to get on the bike, they don't want to go out for a run because they try to progress too quickly. And they break themselves, they end up in physio, they end up with injuries, and it gets really, really hard. It's not a hard sport if you do it properly. It's one where you need consistent practice, let's say lots of repeat sessions, lots of consistency, but slow improvements. You want to be able to think, in 2 weeks, you're thinking you haven't made improvements, but when you look back, 3 months later, you can see you're almost a different person. That's the way it works. Far too many just want to accelerate, they want to be the best, they want to beat all their mates. You'll beat all your mates in a year if you just do it properly. The other thing about triathlon, you have to enjoy the sport. It's not something that I want to lose weight and control my weight, I'll go out and do triathlons. If you don't like the outdoors and actually look forward to going for a run, getting on the bike, going for a swim, as if it's part of your life and social, triathlon is probably not the sport for you. It's an outdoor sport. It's somebody with an outdoor adventure soul. A lot of people come to me for Ironman training or the longer distances. For coaching, what I tell them is I want you to go away, I want you to do some exercise, run, bike, swim for 2 weeks every single day. Right? And if at the end of those 2 weeks you're still looking forward to going out and training, or that's great, I'll coach you. If you're starting to think that, I've got this like work, I've got to go out there and do my training, it's not for you. Walk away. It's something for. I always look at triathlons as sport, but each one of them is a sport as well. I love just going running trails. I have that ability now because I do trail. I can get on a bike and go on a bike tour. I can swim in the ocean, swim around Keppel, swim in the ocean, and really enjoy swimming. and bring it together for a race if I want to. It's about adventure. It's about that. So my biggest recommendation, don't see it as something that just a goal that you have to do. You have to win races. See it as a lifestyle. If you're going to do 3 sports, it's got to be a lifestyle.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I think to me, it's about the 160.
Yes.
I'll put
This is the coldest water I've ever swum in my entire life. There will be a time when I'm warm again. It might be tomorrow or tonight, but a time will come in the future, and just put your mind on that this is temporary. You just have to work through it. I think you gotta be strong.
That was awesome.
We're ahead of time. As you said, we're 14 hours and 30 minutes.
Out of Eidfjord, pay attention.
Run to the top!
So jump again.
Oh God, I'm in front. Go on, Pete. Ready?
First 5 miles is
Done. If you put it that way, yeah. Yeah.
You've just finished Norseman in
Yeah.
Norway. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. I could go on for days or hours about this race, but I'll keep it brief.
Okay.
Right. Important points. Full Ironman, 3.8K swim, 180K ride, 42-kilometer run. But friggin' awesome. Starts off jumping off a ferry, just iconic for Norseman. 3.8K swim in a cold fjord. Finish that up. Short ride on the flats, and then you go up for some climbs, up to 30 kilometers. Then you're on the largest mountain plateau in Europe, and you ride across it. You've got glaciers on the left, you've got mountain lakes, you've got flowing rapid streams under bridges. It's just absolutely scenic and iconic. But don't forget, it's an Ironman race. There's 3,000 meters of elevation just in the ride alone. It is brutal, but brutally just scenic as well at the same time. Then the run is just pretty much the same. It's the first 25 kilometers is pretty flat, lakeside, beautiful scenery. You're hurting, but the countryside just takes hold of you. But the last 17 kilometers, there's Zombie Hill, 10% gradient, 10 kilometers. It's just absolutely brutal. You're tired, you're fatigued. But again, running uphill, it's hard. You have to get what is, there's two t-shirts at the water. You get a black t-shirt and a white t-shirt. First 160 to get to 37 kilometers, get to go up the mountain, to the top. If you're not in the first 160, you get turned around. You still have to run the 42 kilometers, but you run downhill for the last sector. I got the white t-shirt. It didn't quite make the cut. It suffered in the second set of hills. But to me, it's like, if you don't get the major prize in the lottery of, $1 million and you get 750,000 instead, that's what it's like to actually finish with the white t-shirt. It's still a massive achievement, given the terrain, and it's just a beautiful race. It's got a reputation as the toughest one-day daylight triathlon in the world. Absolutely lived up to that expectation. So proud to get it done. And highly recommend it. Anybody who wants thinking of doing it, put it on your list. It's great.
Okay, so what's next?
Halfway through that race, when I was doing probably the fifth climb, 13% grade, I thought, this is it. This is the one I've waited for 12 years. After this, I'm done. I'm going to go back to normal.
I don't know what normal is.
Normal is, just the traditional Ironman races, etc.
Okay, that's your normal. Okay, right.
But after finishing, no, I'm not done yet. I love doing events that I don't know I can complete. Ironman became about calm.
Okay,
it became about, even, where the kind I knew I'd complete unless something tragically went wrong. And it was about time. As I'm getting older, my PBs are gone. I'm 62, going on 63. I'm not going to really get faster. Maybe I could get a little bit out of my body, a little bit more, but I want to start doing things that really draw me out and, into things I just not sure I'm going to get done. So next, I was going to draw a line and say, okay, I'm going to go back, maybe do things similar, but shorter. But I have unfinished business with Extra Himalayas. I had some mechanical issues on the bike that didn't give me the best performance. I did it last year, and I'd love to go back to Nepal. It's just beautiful people, beautiful countryside.
That sounds like, was that when you lost the crank coming down that steep hill?
I lost the crank, my handlebars creep forward. It's just a brutal course on the bike with potholes and people and things like that. Water buffalo. But unfinished business. So I think I'm going to go back to Nepal next year. have one last extra, and who knows where we go from there.
Look forward to that.
Doing things I don't know I can do, but that won't kill me. That's the important one.
Sounds good. Sounds good.